Max Domi plays the hero as the Maple Leafs go up 2-0 in the Battle of Ontario. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Terry Koshan and Lance Hornby. And guys, the Maple Leafs feeling pretty good about themselves right now after winning game number 2 in overtime. Max Domi scoring the winner, of course. Definitely one of those goals I think people are going to be remembering for quite a long time, but the job's still not done here, Terry. The Maple Leafs heading into Ottawa for game 3 on Thursday. They are, of course, once again expecting a strong effort from their opponent. But looking back at game number 2, what were your biggest takeaways from the Maple Leafs side of things?
Well, listen, you hate to use the word lucky, and I'm not going to, but fortunate perhaps. The Leafs were to come out of that with a 3-2 win. Outplayed a lot in the second period. Ottawa doesn't have the type of finishers that the Maple Leafs do, so that didn't really have an impact. But they tied the game late in the third on their only shot of the period, and enough to send the game to overtime and make for some nervous moments. And as you said, Max Domi finishes it, and that's that. And off to Ottawa of the 2-game series lead, but they just have to be tighter throughout the whole game. And the one thing Lance probably agreed the Leafs didn't do this year when they got leads, they didn't sit back a heck of a lot. They stayed on the attack and kept going, and they really didn't do that on Tuesday. The second period, they were fortunate to get out of it, like I said, with still in the lead, and you managed to go on and win. But I would think that going into game 3, you have to have a little bit more of that attack mentality, certainly on the forecheck. It was one thing Berube talked about going into the game and like to see better, and I don't know that the Leafs really got to that. So be better there, and if you're improving the forecheck, it means you're probably breaking the puck out crisper or crispier, whichever the word is, and with more regularity than they have been. So having said all this, a win is a win, and you start fresh on Thursday night, and you do so with the knowledge knowing that if you win Thursday, you can take what would almost certainly be an insurmountable stranglehold on the series. So be a little bit better in all areas, but be confident with the fact you're up 2.
I'd say it's more of the same for the Maple Leafs in terms of the way the regular season ended. They were pulling out a lot of games, dominating in some, fluky in others, but put together a very impressive stretch at the end. And you've seen that stretch through games 1 and 2 here. Now, I've seen a lot of teams. You just know that there's an aura or a destiny about them. It's way too early to say that about the Leafs, but you think about the way they've won these past 2 games, dominating the first one and lucky to use Terry's phrase as far as this one goes. That's those things add up over 14 or 16 wins that it takes, and we've seen the Leafs go up 2-0 now, something they haven't done in I think since the 04 playoffs or 02 playoffs, I think. Before, so that's very important too. And the other big thing would be, how they say in real estate, location, location, location. How about goaltending, goaltending, goaltending? This is something that Toronto's really lacked. It's not just been one goalie playing well. It's been 2, and Anthony Stolarz has been great. He's been with the exception of a kind of a fluky one game 1, and of course his mates sort of took their foot off the gas a little bit in game 2. But this guy's playing quite well, and all you need in Toronto is a little incident like him and Ridley Gregg to go into immortal status in terms of that. If they go on a bit longer, you're going to be talking about that incident. People will be talking about that the way they used to about Curtis Joseph and the wrestling with Mick Magoo in the playoffs in the early 2000s.
Well, as you guys have said, a win is a win, and that's all that matters these days here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But there is an old adage, Lance, that you don't change a winning lineup. And we saw Craig Berube at the end of game number 2 start to sit some of the bottom 6 players as he tried to go with some more trusted players in the lineup. Are we expecting any lineup movement heading into game number 3?
I think you would have seen it certainly if they'd lost. And now, the fact that they won is still not a dominating performance as they had in game 1. It'll be interesting. I mean, certainly when you go on the road, you want size, and not to the point where they would suddenly activate Ryan Reeves, even if they could, but especially given the Ridley incident and what's going on with Brady Tkachuk and other guys running around. But maybe put a bigger body in there, I think, with David Kampf if you want. I mean, he would be the most logical one maybe to come in, I think, in terms of a guy also who can take a lot of draws, which is an area the Leafs have been dominating in. If they don't make any changes, I'm good with that. Certainly, I think the game one win and the fact that they ended the season with these guys, and I think if you make any changes, I think it's playing around with the Domi Yarncroc combination again. That might be the only thing I would do. I think if you lose game three and you've made a change or two, then you're might be just be tempting fate. Leave yourself open to second guessing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how to go on this. The easy fallback is to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And that goes to at least 2 wins. David Camp hasn't played in a while. Max Pacioretty hasn't played since beginning of February. I'm kind of with Lance. If you're going to make a change, perhaps it's bringing Camp in, but I don't know if you do. Listen, this whole idea of the yarn croak and what do you do there, and then how does that impact everything else? To me, you leave that line alone, the lot in line with Lorentz and Yarncroc on the wings. They've been effective. Berube more or less said that today, that they're going to stay together. So what does that mean then? Nick Robertson comes out; he'd really be the only other guy, and we'll see. I mean, there's been issues with his defensive play a bit, and clearly the high sticking call against Ottawa in Game 2 wasn't something that's going to land you in the coach's good books, and it didn't. And Robertson, he has to come back from that if he is in the lineup. So that would be the one change. Again, what does that do to that third line then? And if it is Camp that comes in, an easier one position wise might be Pacioretty, but I'm of the mind you don't do anything. You just leave it as you leave it, you let it go. And that way you're not second guessing yourself if you do happen to lose the game. And I don't think you need to second guess yourself if you stick with it and you happen to lose. So we'll see where it goes. The nice thing is the Leafs know that they have a couple of warm bodies in Camp and Pacioretty there. I don't think that we'd see Ryan Reeves at any point for any reason, but certainly either one of those guys are veterans and they can come in and help if required. But you've won 2 games with these guys that have been there, and I'm not sure that you want to mess with it right now.
We've seen Craig Berube be pretty patient with this lineup, so I wouldn't expect him to be too crazy about the lineup changes, but we'll see. Still another day to decide things heading into Game 3 on Thursday night. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. We'll talk to you once again after Game number 3.